Hello everyone. As Petra mentioned, my name is Klavdija and I am so excited to be here with you guys at our Logistics and Smart Factories Roundtable. Joining me are the following experts on the field. Ms. Marjana, SRDIČ, the head of IoT technology and innovation within the company A1. Mr. Nenad RESMAN, Director Business Development and Trade Lane Manager for Great China at Carlo Partner. Erin BEILHARZ, Consultant Digital Project and Transformation at Lufthansa Systems. Dear panelists, welcome. Before we dig into the questions, just some house rules for everyone in the audience. Please feel free to send in your questions in the chat. Probably mention the questions to be asked so I can get them to our amazing speakers. So let's kick off. I'm going to start with a question for you, Marjana. This was a demanding year behind us. The coronavirus pandemic has affected almost every sector. For example, almost all manufacturers have grappled with the supply chain distribution. Did this affect the telecommunication industry as well? And how did it affect your company in particular?
Of course, like any other industry, we also needed to adapt to this new situation. In our case, this shift to remote working and homeschooling led into a huge increase for every service that we actually provide, all of our core services, from voice to data to even television. So we were lucky enough that we have good technical departments that really plan capacity several years ahead. So already during the first lockdown, our transport capacities were actually doubled almost overnight. So colleagues did a tremendous job on this one. We adapted our sales channels. We included a new one, actually virtual shop, some kind of combination of shop experience, but enhanced with video feed, direct communication with the shop assistant. While the shops were locked. And last but not least, very important, the 5G auction concluded in April this year in Slovenia. We acquired quite some frequency spectrum. This is important in these regards because, you know, frequency spectrum is a limited natural resource. And in such increased capacities, frequencies are a very important part of the providing the whole service that we provide to our customers. We are able to enhance this space that we now lease with expertise of our colleagues from the Telecom Austria group that was already mentioned before by Francis. One of the interesting cases that was done already a year ago, because in Austria we acquired this most interesting 5G spectrum in March 2019 already, was the project with OBB, so Austrian Railways. Where we provided a separate slice for them for their train control systems to get them instant information about the tension systems directly to the control room, so that we can now provide services like this also to other customers, also in Slovenia. We are getting experience, combining experience, expertise from our colleagues with more than 900 already done projects. Several of those were mentioned before also in the speech from Francis. We are providing companies tools to manage intelligent supply chains with products like A1 Industrial Insight, then Asset Insight, providing tools for maintaining optimal inventory levels with A1 in Inventory Insight. So we can enhance this opportunity with a lot of expertise. On the other hand, 5G is important factor for unlocking the digitalization in every vertical, basically, and should be certainly implemented by agile co-development. since we are talking in smart factory panel, 5G has been around, wireless connectivity has been around in factories for several years already, from Bluetooth to wireless LAN to wireless HART and all the Gs of previous mobile generations. But it has been used just to up to 2% actually. This is because of many hurdles there were on this way, standardization, lack of proper equipment, security concerns, and in case of 5G, even politics. But nevertheless, some cases could be already provided with artificial intelligence on edge and some smart components. Typical are AVGs, robots, digital twins that could already be done with previous technologies. However, there are some specific cases within the smart factory that could actually be better provided with use of 5G. Like, for example, real-time imagery wherever you are, with no data loss, with perfect imagery, and, for example, some AR, VR solutions for assembly lines. So looking at 5G as overall, I see it as a very important component for competitiveness, not just for Slovenian industry, but EU as a whole.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Marjana. And as you mentioned in the first part of your answer, e-commerce has really, it has really grown. It became really popular. Everyone is shopping online. I personally know that I am guilty of that. So that's kind of what we've been experiencing, this huge growth of e-commerce and disruptions. So Nenad, I believe that this exponential growth has caused a higher demand in logistics services. How can new technologies help us overcome these challenges? How can they make the job easier?
Sure. Thank you for the question. First of all, a nice greeting from my logistics center, Ljubljana. Yes, correct. As Klavdija already said, e-commerce has experienced tremendous growth in last 2 to 3 years from obvious reasons. If you still think only year 15, there was like presenting 5 to 7% of the world retail value, while last year numbers are showing being around 18%. And the trend is still ongoing, and we see it going strong for the next 3 to 5 years, reaching up to 25% in the year 24 or 25. So yeah, that is correct. Obvious reasons are here. If now at the moment it's around $4.9 trillion already. It's actually replacing the standard retail sector. Physically, retail areas are being shut down in the world, and e-commerce and kind of purchases is stepping in. So what we need to do here is, of course, be vigilant with it and try to mitigate all the challenges that e-commerce industries are facing. Out of top five biggest challenges, 3 touch logistics, I would say completely. With first 2 being the listing of their portfolios on online and personalization of scale. And then they immediately come across our customers the challenges on the logistics, with this being lack of resources generally, either in people or in time. And also the the returns management, which is really important, being a part of packages, as you know, trying to shop on known portals. They even give you offer to take 10 products and return 9 and so on, and these need to run. And of course, the general international expansion, which is about logistics and transports and good networks. So yeah, what we can do with them is, with these challenges is, basically we first need to remove all the complex processes and of course bring everything down to the modern world platform. So yeah, with different information. But first of all, you need to have a good running network of transports as well, not just the hubs and these last mile solutions. Offer a comprehensive portfolio of transport solutions. Like when e-commerce started booming last year, It was amazing. We have shipped e-commerce products basically on all modalities, being rail from Asia, being emergency services, charter services, standard sea freight, and LCL services from cargo partner. And this was really something to see. What we do in cargo partner is we constantly evolve our portfolio of services and also IT products. We have our own spot platform where customers, let's say, archive and input all sorts of data, like from major points up to the smallest details. I don't want to be boring with too many. And this enables then the flow of it's actually a joint services from coming from door in Asian locations, usually up to door in European locations where we are. Yeah, the most important three things that we need to be taking care of with these data on these platforms and our systems is that their orders are processed fast and with precision. That then we offer also a comprehensive e-fulfillment services. So this is the hub handling and last mile deliveries and also services in between. And of course, the mentioned returns management.
Perfect. Sounds like you have your work cut out for you, Nenad, and those numbers were quite impressive.
For sure.
As you have mentioned, managing resources is truly the key, and it's also the key when it comes to sustainability, especially in cities. They have to manage infrastructure, spaces, even services. But what can cities implement from the experience and the knowledge that you have gained at Lufthansa Systems, especially in the areas of in-demand forecasting, where we work with data, optimization, processes, automatization? What can be done for the benefit of both cities and citizens? Erin?
Good. Well, thank you so much. I'm happy to be part of this group, so thanks so much for the opportunity. I think that the airline business is an extremely complex business, and it's one that I'm very excited to work in. Sometimes a frustrating one. We are always operating actually very close to the margin. So we're not a super lucrative business. In order to make money like some of the other businesses, we really need to pinch pennies. And how do we do that? It cannot be at the service of our passengers, because they will notice us these discrepancies and they will leave us for greener pastures. So what we do within the Lufthansa Group, and Lufthansa Systems being the kind of technical supporting company of Lufthansa Group companies, we optimize like crazy. We actually have built, because we have so many optimizers in our different IT products, we've actually built an optimization platform which allows us to pull in different types of data and then to have an algorithm separately that we can run, and we can test the algorithm and see how it's performing. Or we can run separate algorithms behind each other or alongside each other and kind of compare them, and we can tweak them. And the old way was to have all of these optimization, basically these long algorithms, these long strips of code in our products. And now we found that we can reuse some of the logic and tweak it and manage it. And we can optimize for things like on-time arrivals, or we can optimize for things like how we can best use our fleet, optimize for cost, optimize for revenue. So to give you an example, if we have a whole network of moving products, and this is going to actually translate into a lot of the services that you mentioned for cities. Cities are the owners of a lot of bus companies and metro services, and basically the whole mobility area. We have to optimize our assets because they're really expensive, and we have to optimize everything to become more sustainable because we're in one of these industries which is having a moment of unpopularity, and our industry in general at the moment with COVID is, I can say it's a disaster area. We're trying to recover, but this is very hard. So this cost saving and trying to really make every asset count, or what we've done in COVID, for instance, turning off certain assets, parking aircraft in the desert, how to plan and manage all that is a really, really big big undertaking. So we use a lot of technologies in order to help us do that. But the examples that I can see, or the parallels within cities, for instance, look at the whole. I think there's a mega trend going towards really last minute, and I want what I want when I want it, and order something on my phone and have it delivered. So the whole food delivery logistics, it's kind of close to me because I used to work in LSG and catering for Lufthansa, and we work with some of these companies. They have such a big necessity for demand forecasting, for instance. If you look at what is going to be ordered by whom, then you can put the delivery much more localized. Like companies like Gorillas, who have just been starting to do basically pick up groceries from a local store and deliver it. This is the business model now, but I don't think this is going to be the business model in the future. You're going to have this development of like ghost kitchens to produce food in different areas to make the delivery that much faster. You're maybe going to have predictive analytics or predictive forecasting to know what people are going to order in which parts of the city, really to make it faster. Then you talked about things like automation. There's already been tons of, exciting proof of concepts all over the place. Domino's in the US has like a roaming pizza truck with robotic arms in the back, which you order your pizza on your app, and then it like spreads the mozzarella and the pepperoni according to what you've ordered, cooks it, and while the driver is driving. There's been, I think it's an Estonian company. It's like a kind of robot which runs along the sidewalk and also delivering food and things like that. So we have a lot of this kind of experience as well of how to anticipate what people are going to order and what people are going to want to pay for it. This is what we do in our regular airline tickets. We know when something gets put in the basket that a passenger will potentially buy it or not buy it, or at which price, but we're monitoring on the prices. In case you haven't seen behind the curtain of the airline industry, the prices are moving all the time. If you look for a price for a certain city pair, and you look a couple of days later or a few hours later, the price might have moved because they are constantly analyzing, or not they, actually we are constantly analyzing for a lot of different airlines, what is the actual price point that a passenger is going to be willing to pay. So that, I think, is something when dynamic pricing comes into all of this last mile delivery and logistics, is going to be interesting. And then you have the whole automation with regards to drone deliveries coming in, mobility through different types of systems, different types of ground systems or air systems. And I think that the mobility that's coming and the delivery mechanisms that are coming, which are not really in place yet, is for us also interesting because we see a lot of parallels as well to what we're doing. I think maybe to sum up, demand forecasting, efficiency, all of these kind of things, what they essentially do and what they can be applied for within cities is to make everything more efficient, to make your city more sustainable, to reduce waste, to increase the utility, to increase the value of all of your services, infrastructure, how you plan to roll out infrastructure and services. Because if your citizens are not using your product, services, infrastructure, what have you, then you do not have a sustainable outlook. If you have cool companies which are coming and doing these kind of future-facing business models and proofs of concept, and people like it, it has to also make money at the end of the day. And if it doesn't, they will disappear. They will not survive. And I think if you're talking about future cities and you're painting the picture of really, drones flying, dropping cargo, this Amazon blimp, which is, shooting packages down, this may or may not all come, and it may or may not all come in the very near future, but it all has to make money or else the whole thing won't work. So I think that's the lessons from airlines that I can give over to you and the audience.
Thank you very much, Erin. And yeah, as someone who works in a living lab, I agree. A good user experience and profitability are the main key drivers. My next question is going to be for Nenad. What are the key priorities for Cargo Partners upcoming year in relation to digitalization? I feel like this is something that really got pushed forward in this year, digitalization and optimization.
Oh yes, for sure. Like everybody here is for surely experiencing in this way or the other. Also at Cargo Partner, we are doing lots and lots on this topic. What we see is needed for sure. We are completely overhauling our transport management system into the most modern one on the market. We are doing this as we speak, being pilot countries already involved. We will be also digitalizing, or are in the middle of the process of digitalizing also sales activities of Cargo Partner staff. And for sure, our biggest worry and then the plan and project for next short future is our extension to our completely full iLogistics Center Ljubljana, which already has almost 30,000 pallets inside. We will extend with another 14,000 square, and of course give everything to support the modern digitalized automated systems from IT to machinery inside, talking AGVs, talking about, let's say, the automatic robot packing machines, or to even connect everything in a swarm logistic. That is a completely new and future concept of mix of, let's say, mostly robotic and persons in the warehouse seeing and communicating real time and doing their thing, and then hence optimizing customers' solutions and being more effective and so on. But yeah, the keyword is digitalization, and Cargo Partner is completely on it, with the final goal to optimize customers' supply chains and of course to save them some time and money.
Perfect, thank you very much, Nenad. Digitalization, however, does not only stop on land. Marjana, your company has quite some experience in collaborating with the aviation industry. Can you share some of those insights? What is it like?
Vienna Airport was actually the first company in Austria to implement pre-5G campus network by A1 and with our technology partner Nokia. The technologies of network slicing and small cells enabled them to have a separate layer for the employees, divided from the passenger data services, because previously they had a lot of problems with this. And the airport had some 24 million passengers yearly, and we hope that this will continue with the coming months, of course. And they needed a reliable network, secure network, and that they gained with the campus network, because this layer, separate layer, is distinguishing between the employees' devices and passengers' devices. So the employees' devices, of course, have the priority in this network. And additionally, they had now gained the triple core redundancy on top of this. This use case is just one of more than 260 now from Nokia for private networks. They are cooperating with big companies from automotive world, from BMW to Toyota to other big companies, Siemens, for example. And they are supporting also efficiency and resiliency in logistics sector. Us being a telco, we are not focused just on the network layer. We are cooperating also in device layer, in content layer, speaking about factories again. Where we are very active also is the services layer. So the apps and software that can companies can benefit from data they collect and making it accountable information. In this regard, IT and OT typically being very divided worlds within the factories industry. So convergence of these two worlds brings tremendous possibilities for digitalization. And also complexity on the other side. So connecting the whole automation stack within the factories is very complex and expensive job. But it's a key part of so-called digitalized factory. It's not just getting rid of the papers, it's also connecting this stack. It's also getting real-time or near real-time metrics and, of course, big data analytics, predictive and machine learning with industrial Internet of Things. We can connect all the devices within the factory, not just the PLCs, also or other devices, cameras, routers, whatever, to a single namespace that can publish the data there, and all the stacks from SCADA to MES to ERP to big data can connect and subscribe to this data seamlessly. So we see this as a big shift towards the digitalization within the industry sector. With our local partners, we are also trying to unlock added value. We can bring these companies with also not just using internal data sources, or using also external data sources. So if I sum up, now you can see that we are not just a telco, we are also a product house, European product house, I could say, combining all the knowledge within the group that can support companies with IoT solutions, with security solutions and network solutions.
Thank you very much, Marjana. My next question is for Erin. Looking at the legislation and all around safety, I personally believe that cargo drones are going to be accepted a lot quicker and a lot sooner in comparison to passenger VTOLs. In your opinion, how can we really connect the ecosystem on the ground and in the air and make the urban air cargo mobility a reality?
Very good question. This is a question that I have talked a lot to different customers of ours, different UAM operators. A lot of the UAM, urban air mobility operators, and also drone cargo operators are really pushing the boundaries with this. And the general framework of regulatory supporting, of understanding seems to be lagging behind, but in fact, it's not really. If you look at different proofs of concept, which are really up and running already, like Wing in the US is doing, this is a daughter company of Google, and they're doing delivery of Girl Guide cookies to different areas. And they're already really tracking and proving these delivery methodologies. Nobody is starting in congested urban areas. I think it's important to understand that this industry, whether it's passenger taxis, air taxis, or whether it's cargo, or whether it's the fantastic proof of concept that Volocopter had just done with ADAC, which is like the German roadside assistance company to deliver mechanics to the areas where they need to repair cars. All of these things are not being done in these super high congested areas. If you look at cities and what they're able to manage, they say that most of the cargo operations and even the passenger drones that are coming, it will be to connect airports with downtown in a first phase. And this is maybe high risk areas because you have to overfly highly populated areas on the ground. So high rises with people inside, neighborhoods with people inside, children, dogs, whatever. You have the privacy issue that you need to basically solve as well, because there's drones going to be flying through corridors over cities. And all of these things will not come instantaneously. I think if you speak with more experts, the more you hear that this is an incremental learning. There's a lot of things that we don't know yet, but this will come. The time frame is 10 years to be to have quite a few of them in the sky, maybe 30 years to have, I don't want to say Jetsons, this American show from the 60s that everybody knows with, you know, drones flying you to and from work. But the numbers that I've heard of are for a relatively good-sized city, maybe 300 vertiports in the future for passengers, and then for drones, cargo drones, could be different infrastructure, could be the same infrastructure, could be partially different or the same. We have touched on regulatory and the connection between air and ground in a couple of different projects that we've done. We're working on airspace management software, which is basically part of our regular aviation software package, but we normally work for the sky above with all of the Boeings and Airbuses and the upper airspace, and now this is lower airspace and starting to be applied to more urban airspace. And what we've learned here, you need all of the stakeholders to come together to develop this. You cannot have an idea in a bubble and have it be the same idea which fits into the needs of the other stakeholders. I think what cities can do in order to normalize this industry and to really support this industry is to try and connect different stakeholders, and find the experts that you need. Don't let politics regulate where you put your vertiports, because what I said before with regards to utility, if you're planning infrastructure, which is supposed to be good for the next 10 to 30 years, if you look at infrastructure projects of the past, maybe non-air mobility infrastructure projects, if they are not properly planned and designed and in the right area and in the growth areas of the future, then they are not sustainable, because you're going to build something fantastic, it's going to be in the wrong place and nobody will use it. So we've also started on a project with the city of Berlin, looking into how to plan the location of different vertiports, and we're working on different projects with different customers as well, to see if this translates also in ground infrastructure or in, virtual stops. Or what we're doing is essentially taking the data that we have from the upper airspace, and it needs enhancement. We don't yet have, as an industry, this new industry, urban air mobility, urban cargo, we don't yet have all of the sensors in place to have things whipping around. This all still needs to be built, and it will take time. So I think the core message is this is coming. It needs a lot of planning, needs a lot of new technologies like LiDAR, lasers, and different sensors coming in, different types of GPS, remote IDs, all kinds of different things. And it needs still a lot of standardization. It needs ground handling manuals, and it needs maintenance concepts, and it needs the whole logistic supply chain behind in order for this to get up and running. So if you want to understand marrying air and land, there's really a huge amount of data points that need to come in, but as well the utility of the customers behind it, whether it's package customers or whether it's mobility customers or moving themselves. And cities have to connect all of the stakeholders and also test if these things are working or not before they start investing in infrastructure or investing in projects. And this would be, the way forward, I think.
Thank you very much, Erin. I can personally say that my vision of urban future definitely involves drone-delivered cookies and robot-made pizza. And if I get to have a briefcase that turns into a VTOL, even so much better. This is all the time that we have for today. Dear panelists, thank you so much for coming and having this discussion with me. And Petra, back to you.